Hey guys, welcome to this week's Kids Club. And I am so glad that you guys are here with us today and that the grown-ups and kids alike are here to work with us and learn a little bit more about Advent. In the Advent season, it's one of my favorite times of the year. And as we've been talking about Advent, we've been talking about what it means and what Christmas is about. And so if we remember that we said that the things that we get for Christmas aren't going to last forever. The things that we get for Christmas are sometimes going to get broken, or maybe we're going to get bored with the toys and we're going to outgrow the clothes. But if you remember, I've been telling you the things that we get from Christ this Christmas and always, hope, peace, joy, and love are going to last forever. So let's remember, why do we light the Advent candles? We light the Advent candles to help remind us about Advent and help to remind us that Jesus is the light. And the first candle is the candle of hope. The first Advent candle is the candle of hope, and that reminds us that Jesus is our hope. He died on the cross. He let bad men and women, he let the bad men put nails into his hands, and he let all those men and women make the choice to crucify him. He chose to take the beatings and have the nails in his hands and die on the cross for us. And he did that so that we can have everlasting life. The light of hope shines in the darkness, and the darkness is never put out. And then the second candle is the candle of peace. And we light that candle to remind us that Jesus is our peace. And his peace reaches deep within us, reaches out to friends and strangers, and brings justice in our world. And we light that candle to remind us that Jesus is the peace that this world needs in all of the hurt and struggle that we have. Jesus is the peace. And the third candle is the candle in the reading that I'm working with for you guys. The third candle is the candle of joy. And you know, the miracle of Christmas is that even though there's so much sadness, and this Christmas is filled with a lot of sadness for a lot of people and so much change, but the miracle of Christmas is that even with all of the sadness and with all of the struggle and with all of the strife in the world, the joy of Christ deep within us can help us reach out to people who are sad and hurting and lonely. And Jesus is the joy. He is the ultimate joy that we have. And that is why we light the third candle. But I want to talk about some other things to help us remember. So who knows how many days it is till Christmas? And gosh darn it, I blew that one out. Who knows how many days it is till Christmas? Anybody know? Today is the 19th. So that means that there are 6 more days till Christmas. Now, has anybody been waiting for something really big to happen? Maybe it's the end of school, or maybe you know someone that's having a baby and you've got a countdown going on, and things are very exciting towards the end, right? So the only thing that gets talked about when you're waiting for that special thing to happen is that thing. Maybe you're counting down, how many more days is it? And do you know what's going to happen when this comes? And that's very much just like, how many days is it until Christmas? The family of Mary and Joseph, the family of Jesus's mom and dad, Jesus's mom and dad were doing the same thing. They were preparing and headed to Bethlehem because the census was being taken, and they were preparing and thinking, how many more days until Jesus comes? And they were very excited. Christmas is just like that. With Advent, that's what we're doing. We're counting down the days until Jesus' birthday. We are preparing for the birth of Jesus. But sometimes in the midst of all of our things that we do in the Christmas season, sometimes we get so busy that we forget about Jesus, and we just start thinking about all the things that we have to do. I know Miss Josette was stressing out this week about not having wrapped any of my presents yet, and I was getting all stressed out about that. But it's so important that we make sure that we come to Kids Club and we come to church and that we read our Bible during this time, because you know what? It's not about whether the presents are wrapped. It's not about whether the cookies are baked. It's about remembering that Christmas is about Jesus' birth and remembering that Jesus brings us hope, peace, joy, and love in our lives. So I have some candy that I want to show you guys today, and I'm very sorry that I can't pass it out and share it with you, but I'm going to have some of this candy myself. So I'm just going to move this aside, and I'm going to blow out the candles so no one worries. And I just move it aside so that I don't knock it over. But I have some candies, and I want to talk to you about these candies. Who knows what these are? I love these. They come in lots of flavors, but plain old milk chocolate's probably my favorite. Every one of these candies has a letter on them. And if you hold these candies, they will melt a little bit. But if you look at these candies and you look at the letter on these candies, you could have it be 3 different letters, depending on how you hold it, and a number. And those 3 letters and number remind us about Christmas and the birth of Jesus. So from now on, when you look at M&Ms, I want you to think about this. We have an M, we have an E, we have a W, or we have a 3. Now you see the M stands for another name for Jesus. The M reminds us of Messiah, but it could also remind us of Magi or even the manger where Jesus laid. But the E reminds us of the East, which is where the star shone so bright. And the 3 is for the 3 wise men who came to see the baby after he was born, and they came for the W to worship the baby. And that's what we do. And that's what we do when we come to church. We are here to worship the baby. So I've got one more really cool, important thing to tell you. There is a really cool star that is going to be able to be seen in this coming weeks. If you go outside at night, it is something right now, if you look it up and you'd use that thing that I love called Google, if you Google it and you look it up and you learn all about the Christmas star, this star hasn't shown for a very, very long time. I believe the last time it shone was in 1226, but the time before that historians are telling us the last time that star that is available this year, in this year that has had so much crazy bad stuff, the first time that star was ever recorded to have been seen was around 2 AD. If we think about the story of Jesus, and we think about the story of the wise men, and we think about Herod, which is after Jesus' birth, and we think about what Herod said about how old children were to be killed, little boys that were to be killed because he didn't want that king found. That star, that Christmas star that we can see today, again, might just very well be the star that the wise men, the 3 wise men followed, that came from the east, that they used when they went to worship the Messiah in the manger. How cool is that? So if you guys get some M&Ms, and this week, Google it, the exact days, this week go out and check out the Christmas star. I promise that Ashley and I are going to be out checking out the Christmas star. It is going to be a super bright, super, super, super bright star this week. Merry Christmas. And I hope with all of this craziness right now in the world and all of the stresses right now that you can remember that Jesus is the joy that we need in this Christmas season. God bless all of you. Merry Christmas. And I promise that I will be back on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to share some very special things with you. And Pastor Tim will be here tomorrow morning for all of the grown-ups and even you kids that want to listen at 11 o'clock. So feel free to join in, and I hope to hear wonderful things about your Christmas. Merry Christmas!